Welcome to One of Those, the show that explores the art of sneaker culture. I'm your host, Adam Butler, back with another episode. Thank you so kindly for being here. All right, guys, I have a conversation this week that I have to admit is really off the cuff. I'm freestyling this one a bit. It's something that's been on my mind as a fan of sneaker culture, as a consumer of sneakers, a guy that follows this. I probably pay attention to some things that most people don't. All right. And what I've been noticing is that as social and political culture or issues start to inspire sneaker culture, I worked it out. The conversation changes within the culture. It becomes less about, oh, this sneaker is hot, fall sneakers of the week. By the way, shouts out to everyone that supported my fall sneakers of the week conversation last week. Big shout out to y'all. But it becomes less about what's hot, what's dropping, do I like it, don't I like it. It becomes more about what is the sneaker meant for? Is the conversation around the sneaker proper? Are the right people working on the sneaker? Is the sneaker getting to the person it needs to get to? And these are great conversations, but sometimes it complicates the sneaker game. And sometimes I think that the essence of why we like this thing gets a little lost. It's not just about fun. Well, for some people it is about fun, but should it be more? Has the game become more complicated? And are there some people within the culture that have bad intentions, that may be a little geeky, ruining it for us, for lack of a better term? So today, and as I stressed before, this conversation is off the cuff for me. It's something that I really had to work out for myself. So I invited my boy, one of my best friends, him, Paul Spann, to have the conversation with me. These are the type of conversations that he and I have just on the phone, man. We just talk about stuff like this. And you guys are going to get an audience to just our mindset and how we think about this thing, man. So I'm going to jump right into it in a moment. Before that, I do want to let you guys know you want to go ahead and subscribe to the Up On Game Network on all podcasting platforms, and you definitely want to subscribe to the YouTube network. There's so much content on there, all things sports, culture. It's on the network, man. Whatever you can think of, there's someone talking about it on the Up On Game Network. So go ahead and subscribe to both the podcasts, so anywhere you get podcasts, but specifically on iHeartRadio, okay, and also on our YouTube. By clicking subscribe, liking our content, you help that algorithm, you help things move, and we'll be able to get in front of your face much easier. And also you'll be helping us spread the word, because you tune into this show, which shows me that you support what I'm doing. But I'm asking you to go ahead and support my people as well, and you will not regret it. Okay? So thank you for that. All right, let's jump right into it. My man Paul Spann is going to join me to talk about the overcomplication of sneaker culture. Are we getting a little too serious in this thing? Let's talk about it right now. Paul Spann, welcome to the show, my dear brother.
Always, brother, always. It's always my absolute pleasure.
Yeah, man. So listen, today we're going to talk about corny sneakerheads. Like, nah.
Hey.
We are actually going to talk about that a little bit. But there's just been a couple of subjects that's been coming up in sneaker culture that I want to bring up to you, but also kind of talk about, because whenever I have you on, we talk about sneaker culture in general. That's why I like having you on the show, right? Like, you don't usually we talk about like what the happenings within the culture, right? And one thing I do want to talk to you about is the idea of a shift happening within the culture, right? There's a shift happening where the hype beast idea of this culture. When we first started this show, it was really a lot of hype beast resellers. We talked about that a lot. That's kind of deaded down a lot, right? But now it's a lot of like, listen, nerd doesn't have to be a derogatory term, okay? But you understand what I mean by like,
right.
You know what I mean? My question to you, which is the title of this show, are we taking sneaker culture a little too seriously?
I was about to say that we aren't, right?
Okay.
But I'm not going to say that, because that's the element of it we are, and the element of it we aren't, and I'll explain exactly what I mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
You and I talk. There's something like understand where you're just turning 40. I'm in my 40s.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain thing for us. There's a nostalgic factor for us that, like, understand, we know about standing in lines for shoes and doing different things of the nature, and literally waiting for the first release of all these new now retro Jordans and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a different there's a certain part of connection that's there that's slightly different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it gives a whole, like I said, a whole nostalgic factor. I was in high school when I got this. I couldn't afford this when I got this. I was this age when I can get that, and the third.
Right.
Then, time progresses. We come into whatever years shift we have, and then certain things become business, right? Become a way, of means for business. Sneakerhead is no longer just for one. It becomes more corporate as far as hip hop is concerned, as far as sneakers are concerned, as far as all sorts of things are concerned. So then from that, another subculture of that is becoming the reseller. Back then we called it the plug. Like back then it was the plug. That is migrated into you and I were sending little memes and different things on Instagram back and forth. I sent you the young cat, the young Caucasian cat, talking about how he nets 14 to 15K a month on reselling sneakers. And to bring all this back to your complete original point, he is what we would consider cool challenged. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, a little bit of a dork, I think we can say.
Yeah. Even the whole shtick that he was promoting, not that success isn't important, not that any of that is important, but even the whole even the whole thing, the whole ordeal. So I'd say this. I think that elements of like the hypey stuff is winding down. The business part of what we ran into is still going to be what it is, because it's birthed so many other things. It's birthed not only that business mindset, but it's birthed just a different set of people who are now taking a part of a sneaker culture that started from something different and just taking it to a different place.
Word up. I like that answer. I like that answer a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's a lot of dorks in sneaker culture, and the reason why I'm gonna go ahead and say that is because I'm just sorry. I appreciate that. I really do. I understand, but I'm gonna say there's a lot of dorks here, and the reason why I say it is because, listen, this is from a guy who hosts a podcast about sneaker culture. Okay, so at the end, we all kind of taking something that is pretty simple and broadening it out to something way more complex, because we understand where it comes from. We get it, right? But, and this isn't, sometimes when this conversation, when we talk about like dorks in the culture, we tend to focus on the young cats. We tend to focus on the people who are, may have just found it, who make some money off or whatever. We don't be talking about the old head that's like, man, look at here, man, you can't wear that because I used to do it. I waited in line for it. Use a dork if you get carried like that, man. And a lot of people that's putting all these rules and regulations on sneaker culture, who can wear what, who can do what, this, that, and another. Now, mind you, I want to pause myself here. Okay. I want to be very mindful, because there are two things that are going on within sneaker culture that I do think are important conversations for life. Sometimes they get caught into sneaker culture because, again, for people that need to understand why we even call this thing a culture, is because hip hop culture is a subculture of Black culture.
Yep.
And sneaker culture, just like fashion culture, streetwear culture, I should say, to be really specific, is a subculture of hip hop culture. So this is why we talk about these things. Okay. This is why in your background, we see MJ, because MJ represented hip hop culture in so many ways. Allen Iverson, we get it. I talk about it all the time. All right. So there's going to be some social issues that come up within this culture. To nail it down and be specific to it, not Pacific, but specific to it.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's so funny. I was literally just talking about that earlier today.
Yo,
but anyway, go ahead.
I don't want to shout. I don't want to bust out the podcast when the dude said Pacific on it. But anyway, to be specific about it,
right?
It's women within sneaker culture, and it's sneaker culture still for us, the black folks, right? And those are important conversations. See, and this is why it's complex, right? Because it is very important. There are, there was this big conversation that happened over the weekend. I actually tried to call you about it. You was out at Art All Night. Shouts out to Art All Night. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So shouts out to Kari, Sneaker Fetish, the YouTube guy, and the whole crew were having a Twitter Spaces. While my man was out at Art All Night, myself with the pregnant wife.
Jamming.
Yeah. Myself with the pregnant wife was sitting at home listening to the Twitter Space on a Saturday night. And it was entertaining. Okay. But it was all about men buying women's sneakers, right? And they were really focused on the Around the Way Girl Jordan 1. Okay. The Round the Way Girl Jordan 1 is a denim Jordan 1 with a bamboo earring in the middle of it, based off of the Around the Way Girl song, LL Cool J. Okay. Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of women, black women in particular, who were on this show, on the Spaces, I should say, which is basically a live stream podcast,
right?
Talking about men, and I want to be really careful and really. I wish they wanted them on the show, but I couldn't put it off fast enough. But what I heard them say is that it's not about men buying a woman's sneaker. It's about the opportunity to cop the sneaker that is made for them that they don't get.
Because of a bunch of dudes trying to cop it.
Right. Now, this happens with black people. This conversation came up again. Kari brought this conversation up about the Alma Manier 1. Mm-hmm. Was it made for black people? And should black people get first dibs to the sneaker? Now, mind you, I want to be real clear. I'm not calling Kari a geek or anyone that was in this conversation a geek, okay? Who I am calling a geek are the people who walk around with their chests out about sneakers and have a wall full of sneakers and brag and boast about the culture when you have a bunch of friends at the brand, when you get your stuff for free, when you haven't had to pay full price for a sneaker, when people just giving you stuff or you just whatever, or you are doing backdoor this and that, and you got a lot of complaints about what young people do, and you got a record of complaints about what people on YouTube or whoever, what they do. That's a geek to me, because a geek is a hypocrite, in my opinion. You feel what I'm saying?
Boom. I mean, you put the perfect face to it, and you thoroughly explained what you meant.
Thank you.
And I wholeheartedly agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Like you said, when even the things that I was explaining earlier are literally a reference and a frame of mind.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? And like you said, just giving groundwork to certain parts of origins for certain people.
Yeah,
because you can't plant a flag and stake claim and become what I've coined nowadays is a curmudgeon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You've coined the term curmudgeon?
Yes. Well. Yes. I quoted it. I didn't. I brought it back. You know what I'm saying? People were using it.
Word.
Since Gargamel and the Smurfs.
Okay.
But
good job, man.
But nah. So like you said, it's very easy to talk about the culture and who should get what. When, like you said, when even what you're talking about, you're slight that person that is the person that you're describing.
Yeah, you're
slightly out of touch with the culture, because your element of the culture isn't the actual culture. Your element of the culture is, and we're not like being mad at, but your element of the culture is the actual privilege that a lot in the culture don't have.
Yeah, and let me address that, right?
Yeah,
because as I was listening to this space, I understood what everyone was what everyone was saying, not trying to say what they were saying.
Right.
I mean, don't claim to be a black woman, obviously. Right.
Well, clearly.
But as
I mean,
a
you're
black,
an ugly black man.
and there it is.
But you're not a, you know, all right, there you go.
I teed it up. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't do it, but my man is going to catch me every time I do this.
There we go.
So, no, but I am a black person, and I know what it's like to not be represented in a culture, in an industry. And so when you are, as they say, a double minority, a black woman, I can only imagine what it feels like to say, yo, it's only but a couple of like hype exclusives that come out and they're geared towards us. Can we get them? The problem is how do you create that rule? How do you change the minds of all the hungry, thirsty sneakerheads that want to just get a sneaker because they got to have every sneaker? How do you change their mind? And I'm not saying I do know that or don't know how to do it. I hope they figure it out, right? Because I understand where they're coming from. But the reason why I think that, and I framed this conversation around, are we taking it to, is it getting too serious and too complicated? Is because ultimately, when you're talking about fashion culture, streetwear culture, you're talking about a very flashy, showy thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about a thing that for a long time, and I'm talking, look, I'm 40. We in our 40s. Okay, we've been around, and there are people within hip hop and sneakers that have been around longer than us. And for the longest, the sneaker was a representation of status in the hood.
Right.
It meant I got something you don't. Right. Even when you talk about what's my man that made the Gucci coats and all that, Dapper Dan and all that, right? It wasn't poor people walking around with no Dapper Dan on. It was the dope dealers. It was the mamas that had the Jordans and all that. Was the people with the
money making mention.
And we got to be honest about this thing we participate in, because when the younger people start talking about it and start talking about it only from the social aspect, only from the culture aspect. They're missing the thing that it really is about. And it's sad. And it's the thing that we, none of us no one wants to represent capitalism. No one wants to represent greed, right? But that's the reason why some people don't really deal with fashion in sneakers, because it costs money to do these things, right? So the person that got all the J's for a long time that will join the Twitter space, I'm not talking about anyone that was in that Twitter space. I'm certainly not talking about the people that were hosting it, okay? But I saw some people that were in there, and I know they got a wall full of them, and they ain't about to give up their sneaker to someone that don't got an opportunity to get it.
Right. Yeah, I think the whole concept bodes for an interesting conversation.
Yeah, no, it is.
I think it bodes and both a worthwhile conversation. But back to you what you were saying.
But hold on, real quick, and hold that thought. You can't have the conversation unless you're really willing to get to the real about you can't have ASS. We on iHeart, so I got to keep it easy. You can't have, the conversation when you're not really willing to talk about the root of why we into this. Not why we're into it, the root of what it is, which is materialism. It's materialism. So long as it's that, people are going to buy the stuff up. And if you're walking around in this culture pretending to not be that, why you wear sneakers, P? Beyond the fact that they got great stories and they remind you of Jordan.
Them Jones are fly, and I look like that when I have them on.
There you go. Don't it feel good when somebody go, "Hey, bro, whoa, what the?"
You got the. Oh yeah, you got the. Yeah.
You ain't walking around with no Bobos on your feet. You didn't go to pick up a pair, Air Richard Smiths.
Exactly.
Dick Graysons.
You know what I'm saying? No, I don't. I don't. Yeah. I don't own, what I'm saying, a pair of Silverados.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so there are some people, and I want you to get right back to your thought. I just need to say this. There are some people out there that are really into like repurposed people that wear like remember Tom shoes and all that was the hot. Like there are people that are out there that are like, yo, my outfit costs like $10. That's what I'm about. You know what I'm saying? Thrifting is a big thing in sneakers, but be honest with you, a lot of people are buying up stuff at the thrift to resell for hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, because they can get some fire on the low and just get them cleaned and sell them.
Yes. Right. So to put a button on what I'm saying, so we can get right back to your thought. I'm not here to be critical of people that are trying to have in-depth conversations within sneakers.
Right.
The only way to really fix this, hip hop, sneakers, black coat, whatever, is to get down and be real about what the true problem is, which is materialism. Once you could say, yo, I just didn't get an opportunity to get that thing that the other person got, and it blows me, then you can really have a real conversation about, now, how do we, okay, because now we could talk about what the brands can do to make sure that the sneaker gets in the hands of the person they meant it to be. But you got to have a real conversation about why the brand made the sneaker in the first place.
So exactly. So back to the original thing that I was saying. With it, now even taking it away from that, you already explained to everyone about cultures and subcultures and all the things. So everything exactly what we're talking about is a derivative of that. Like I say, this conversation bodes a very interesting and both a necessary one. But it carries wider ramifications. Like, understand, even if we were to talk about the original culture of hip hop and all those things, who are things truthfully marketed and things too, honestly, that like, understand, our culture will always be at bay. It will always be there.
Yeah.
But where we are now is something totally different.
Yeah.
It's like literally what you're saying. So, like I said, it bodes an interesting conversation, and we can sit back and go, because the meaning of An Ye is, this at
black
the third
women. Yeah, my mom was black. It's based on his black. And again, shout out to my man over on my Manye, because it's not, we're not getting on the designers.
And mind you, clearly know that's not what I'm saying either. Clearly that is not what I'm saying at all.
Right.
However, we like you said, if we are to be 100% honest and real, even when let's okay. We're talking about shoes right now, but let's pause that for a second. Now we're just talking about hip hop and the culture of it. And I'm talking about everything that goes with it. I'm not just talking about music, I'm talking about clothing. I'm talking about, like, understand, when you want to talk about 3 billionaires right now, you're talking about Jay-Z, Rihanna, Kanye West.
Yeah.
Off of urban culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
The largest part of Kanye's fortune is his sneakers.
Yeah.
So, even to bring that whole funny as crap thing.
Hey man, I've been talking about Kanye West for 2 straight weeks. We not gonna get all far into Kanye, but I'm with you. Yeah.
But you understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
Like,
I understand.
So to have that minute part of the conversation, which we're both alluding to, is very important. It is very important, but it's a microcosm.
Yeah, it's a consumer market, right? I had a really good conversation with someone I won't name, a private conversation with someone I won't name. I'll tell you afterwards, right?
Right.
And we talked about consumerism and that being the missing point of this conversation. It's the same thing with the Super Bowl, right? Like, Rihanna's performing at the Super Bowl this year. A lot of people are upset with Rihanna because they're like, why are you supporting the NFL, this, that, and another? A lot of people were initially upset with Jay-Z for partnering with the Super Bowl. Right now, listen, I'm a big Jay-Z fan. this isn't a critique of Jay-Z, but I do think that Jay-Z brings an interesting conversation that does go with sneakers too. When you're starting to introduce, and a lot of, not even really introduced, but a lot of black and brown and women creatives are starting to enter the sneaker space and create sneakers right now. That creative, this is why I made it really clear to say, I'm not critiquing the creative that creates the sneaker.
Yes.
The brand still has to do what they're going to do with the sneaker. So I can create a sneaker and say, yo, I was asking my man Shannon about this. I can make like the Southeast Mo sneaker, right? That's a very DC thing, right? And I can say, yo, this sneaker.
The Southeast Mo's will kill.
Yeah, hold on, my headphones fell off. Anyway, I can make.
That's because you was thinking about the Southeast.
I was thinking about the Southeast Mo sneaker. So no, you can make the you can make the Southeast Mo. I'm gonna leave that in too. You can make the Southeast Mo sneaker and say, "Yo, this shoe, I made this shoe for my block that I grew up on. It's got stuff in it that is specific to the people on this block. A bunch of things and Easter eggs and little things within the sneakers that's." Yo, you got to be from this block to really represent this.
Understand anything about this, right?
And I can tell Nike that, yo, Nike, the sneaker, I know you're going to mass produce the sneaker, but before you do, I want to make sure that everybody from 46th Place to Alabama Avenue to Anacostia to
get the Mo's first.
Get these Mo's first. Mo, by the way, for my people outside of DC, is a DC slang. Okay, they get these joints first. And I guarantee you that won't happen. Okay.
Right.
Because once I hand it over, it's the same thing I've been saying about Kanye for weeks. Once I hand it over to a corporation is going to try to make money. So you got to be real about the thing that you're participating in, right? So going to
have a full circle conversation.
Yes. So going back to the Super Bowl conversation, right? And the Jay-Z conversation, and why people get mad at Jay-Z like almost annually at this point, because when he speaks, he talks about being a capitalist, even though he's claiming he doesn't want to be called a capitalist, but when he talks about being a person of wealth within the Black community and how he sees that as a revolutionary act, and how people that are anti that don't accept that. And that's a great philosophical discussion, right? But I see it happening in a much smaller way, in a much smaller scale within sneakers, right? There's people that are saying that sneaker was meant for this particular person. Why didn't you allow that person to get that sneaker? And then you're looking at the other consumer. So you're a consumer saying, I wanted to consume that first. Then you're looking at the other consumer and going, now it's on you, Mr. Consumer, to change the way things go. But the problem, to quote you, the proprietor of the problem is Alabama, right? The problem is the brand that sells the sneaker. If Nike was listening to the women who created the Around the Way Girl sneaker, they would have activations set up that were women exclusives to make sure that at least 1,000 women got a pair of that sneaker first. And then you could let the women hash it out over who can make it to that event. Maybe you got 2,000, 3,000. I don't know what the activation would be, but that would be on the brand to operate outside of its interest, which is selling the product. But the brand is about selling the product. So the brand it's real cute. We're gonna make this sneaker for these girls. We're gonna make this Air Raid with the double X, with the X on it, put Africa colors on it, and we're going, but you know what? It's a white boy walking around with some African American history, Black History Month Air Raids on right now.
Right now.
It's a dude walking around with a Around the Way Girl Jordan 1 on with a bamboo earring on.
Bamboo earring going through. Yeah. Because they're the hottest exclusive.
Or he could sell it or whatever. It's the same conversation we were having about resellers. It's on the brand. When you're looking at other consumers and trying to get a consumer to stop doing what a consumer does, it's not a fool's errand. I don't want it, because again, the women that were having that conversation, I have all the respect in the world for them. And I understand exactly what they're saying. And I also want to say this real quick before I throw it back to you, bro. I understand that they were talking about something small to make a bigger point.
Right.
That women are not listened to within any industry on a mass level, to be honest with you, right? And that here we are again, men are trying to tell women how to feel about a thing. So I want to be real clear. I'm telling you how to feel about what's going on, because I, as a Black man, has felt this way about certain sneakers too. But the true problem is that sneakers are a representation of materialism that we just all like. And when materialism bleeds directly into consumerism, bleeds directly into capitalism, which means there's a company that understands that and they're going to sell that thing by any means necessary.
Period. And what you're left with is conversation. Right. So within that, and what's funny is, even as our good friend is learning, business mottos and different things have to change. Like I say, not that neither one of us is saying that the conversation is warranted. Not even the points made. Mm-hmm. But I think sometimes what happens is we're so immersed in the thing that we're immersed in, that we forget about the totality of the actual world. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we take world problems and then we take them from the macro level that they're on and put them specifically into the micro thing that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. So I think sometimes when we have the ability to step in, and obviously when we're talking about niche things, we're talking about podcasts, we're talking about certain things, there's there's a tongue-in-cheek value that comes with the element because it for mere fact that it's show business.
Yeah.
And enough. Not saying these aren't genuine conversations. I'm not saying that at all.
Because I was just going to add to that.
Yeah,
this is a Twitter space with a lot of people. Some are just getting there, all making good points, all are making very relevant points, but it's a venting session to be able to, you know what I mean? And so that's why I want to really make it really clear. The people that were in this Twitter spaces are not the people I'm saying are the geeks or the ones that are serious, but the geek to me is the guy that will listen to that and go, yeah, right on. But your wall is full. And I'm not suggesting that person donate all their sneakers. I'm suggesting you be real about why you got a wall full of sneakers, and some of them you probably had to buy an 11W. For my people out there who don't understand what that means, a woman sizing.
Yes.
And you're in here telling these women, I'm with you. Yeah. Or you maybe you're not a person of color and you telling these black folks, yeah, you're right, man. Virgil definitely wanted to make some sneakers for you, or this person definitely wanted to make some sneakers for you, man. You're right, man.
But I got 22 pairs of them.
Bang, 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 bang.
And you can cop. I hear everything you're saying. You can cop those from me whenever you would like.
Hey, you really want them? Well, I got them for blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying. That the thing reason why I say it's complicated or overly complicated is because the conversation needs to be simplified. We're talking about materialism. So what you want from the brand is to have an activation. You want the brand to stand by the thing they claim they represent. If you're making a Black History Month, or you're making a West Indies sneaker, or you're making a Chinese New Year, or whatever it's directed to a culture.
Whatever culture you're using to
make
to
sure
sell.
To
sell.
Yeah. Make sure that person gets their hands on that thing. I'm running short on time. I do want you to make any last points that you're going to make about this one, though, because I do appreciate you talking to me about this one, because as I said in the intro of this show, I didn't really have a plan for this one. I just wanted to talk to my mans about some things that was on my mind. So share your last thoughts, brother.
Nah, I mean, ultimately, like with anything, I think even the learning point from these things is the macro level to micro level, right? Because I think one thing that you even want to do with the show, with all things, is introduce real life topics around sneaker culture. So taking away from this, there are definite intimate personal conversations for us to have when it comes to race, when it comes to culture, when it comes to all sorts of things. But it's for us to also be cognizant of everything that comes with. You know what I'm saying? And certain parts of things, even though we can be specific in detail, but there's certain things that we can't just cherry pick and leave it at that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you so much, man. It's always a pleasure rapping with you, bro. We always you know what it is. I don't even gotta you know what it is, my dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I get at you.
You know it. Go Georgetown Terrapins.
What? All right, anyway.
That's my new football team. I'm done. I'm out. All right, bro.
All right. Okay, big shouts out to Paul Spann, as always, for joining me, man. Very, very interesting conversation. I do want to know what you guys think about this one, so don't hesitate to hit me up in the comments below on YouTube, or hit me up on my social media, MSR_Adam. I'm going to shout that out again, man. But again, thank you for that. Again, this conversation, this was me just kind of working through my thoughts, man. So thank you for indulging me and always supporting this podcast, man. We talk about sneakers, we have fun. But like sneakers, like I said in the show, it's a microcosm of many cultures. So it's the real stuff is going to leak into the conversation as well. I do plan on continuing this conversation with some other people. I don't want to spoil it. And sometimes people have to reschedule. So I don't want to go, hey, this person's coming next week. We definitely going to talk about it. So be on the lookout for this conversation to show up again, either next week or the week after. I promise you we're going to talk about this again, because it's really, really interesting to me, and I think I want to hear more voices on this one, including yours. So hit me up in the comment section, DM me, email me. My email is in my bio, as well as my link tree. It's in my bio. So anything you want to know about me, any contacts or whatever you got to say, hit me up there. So with that being said, MSR_Adam, MSR_Adam. That's my Twitter. The Butler Did It podcast on TikTok. A lot of content there as well. Follow the team at Up On Game Network, at Up On Game Network, and of course follow the squad at On My Feet Network. You know what it is. I tell you every week. Thank you for the people that support. All right. Mind your mental health, ladies and gentlemen. Remember to do that, okay? With all this stuff, there's a lot of intense conversation going around, a lot of heavy things in the world, okay? So you definitely, look, in culture and within your own household, I'm sure we all deal with things. So remember to mind your mental health. Take care of yourself, okay? Remember to mind your physical health. Get out there, get active, do your thing. I tell you this every week, and I mean it, okay? And never forget, this is the most important thing. Never, ever forget. And please continue to be great. I'm up out of here. Peace.